Hey everyone, this is Dan from DHTV, and today I'm going to be showing you some of the best tips and tricks that you can use with your iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus. Let's get started. So to kick things off, let's talk about one-handed usage. Because the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus are now larger devices, it's a little bit harder to reach the applications and things on the top side of the screen with one hand. So if you have smaller hands or you're having trouble reaching them, you can use this feature where you double tap on the home button and it'll bring them down. So you're not pressing, you're just double tapping, and you can do this within any application and it'll bring it down, allowing you to access various features that are above with one hand. The next tip involves the settings application and the display and brightness section. And this is a new feature called display zoom. If we tap on view, you can see the standard view, and this is how we all see our iPhones. But if you zoom it, you'll see that everything gets larger. And this will transition over to your messages and various applications and pretty much everywhere on your iPhone. So you can see the applications on the home screen example here will zoom when you tap zoomed. So if you set this, everything will be zoomed and it'll be a little bit more easier for you to see if you're having trouble with these smaller standard applications and messages. For the next tip, we're going to open up our settings application, we're going to open notifications, and we're going to focus on the applications that we include. So by default, whenever we get a notification, whether it's a message, a call, an email, or a Twitter tweet, if we don't respond to it, after 2 minutes, it goes ahead and it repeats itself. So at the bottom here in the messaging section, it says repeat alerts once. If we tap on that, you can actually customize this. So if that's annoying to you to have it reminding you over a 2-minute span of time, you can set it to never. In that same sense, you can actually set it to twice, 3 times, 5 times, or 10 times, and every 2 minutes, it'll remind you that you have not responded or not taken care of that alert. The next tip, we are going to use the Notes application here and open up a new note. Now, if you tap and hold on a section of your note, we now have a box that allows us to insert a photo. So if we tap on that, we can go into our photos and we can just tap the photo we want, choose it, and now we can add photos to our notes. The next tip is a little bit of a fun one, and what it does is allow Siri to call you by name. What's my name?
You're Daniel. That's what you told me anyway.
So there you go, Siri calls me by my name, and the way you set this up is very simple. You go into your phone section and to your contact section. Now what you do is you simply add a contact and you put your name in as your first name, and then what you do is actually go into the settings application here, go to general, go to Siri, and then it says My Info. So if we tap on My Info, you go ahead and choose the contact you just created, and it'll go ahead and add that to your info. So now Siri will use your name whenever it's appropriate. The next few tips are some simple ones, but they involve the lock screen, and if you don't know about these, basically if you swipe up from the bottom of your lock screen in the middle, it'll bring up your control center. And if you swipe from the right side where you see the camera, it'll bring up the camera app and it'll allow you to take photos. And if you swipe down from the top, you can access your notification center. So all of these features can be accessed through the lock screen just by swiping. Continuing with Control Center, if we open up our settings application and we tap on Control Center, there's 2 features here that we can disable. Accessing it on the lock screen, so if you don't want to be able to access Control Center on the lock screen, you can swipe that off. But a main one that a lot of people use is accessing it while you're in apps. So if you have that annoyance where you're playing a game and the Control Center sort of just pops up in the middle of your game because you're kind of swiping upwards, you can disable that, and anytime you're in an application, it will not open up. However, if you're on your home screen, it'll still allow you to access it. The next 2 tips involve the camera, so we'll go ahead and open up the camera app. Now, in older versions of iOS, we were able to bring up the grid just on screen here. Well, now we need to actually go through a few settings. So I'll show you that, but also within the video section here, by default, it films at 30 frames per second. Well, with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, you can actually film at 60 frames per second. So what you do to enable these 2 features is simply go to your settings application and go to the photos and camera section. Now in this section here, you can see we have the grid ability. So if we swipe to turn that on, we'll now have a grid. And then we also have the ability to record at 60 frames per second. So now if we go back to our camera application, You'll see in the video section, it now says 60 frames per second video. And if we swipe back over to photos, we now have a grid along the screen. Also within the camera app here, if we swipe over to slow motion video, you can see it's set to 240 frames per second. So if you want to go back and take videos at 120 frames per second, you can tap that and it'll allow you to switch over. And to go back is just to tap it again. For the next few tips here, we'll take a look at the messaging app here. So if you want to send a voice message, you can see we have a little microphone over there. You can tap and hold on it and it'll record everything you say. If you release, it'll give you the ability to either send it by pressing the arrow upwards or deleting it by pressing the X. So if we press the arrow upwards, it's gone ahead and sent that voice message and they can listen to it on the other end.
Hold on it and it'll record everything you say.
Also, a similar feature is the ability to take a photo or a video. So if you swipe upwards, it'll take a photo and it'll send it automatically. If you just hold on the button, it'll allow you to choose between video and photo. And obviously, if you swipe to the right, it'll begin taking a video. And if you don't want the video in the middle, just swipe back over to the X and nothing will happen. Added in was this feature above. It's called predictive, and basically when you're typing, it tries to figure out the next word that you want to say. So if I say the fact, and then it goes and tries to suggest that I is. If you don't like that, just tap and hold on emoji here, and you can turn predictive off right there. So if you just tap and hold, you see predictive. You can turn it on or turn it off. It's very simple. Another feature involved with the messaging app, which people love or hate, is autocorrect. So I answer this question all the time, and we'll go through how to disable it. So what you want to do is go into your settings, go to General, and from General, you want to just move down to where it says Keyboard. And here you'll see autocorrection. Now you can turn it off and it'll still allow you to have suggestions, so it'll kind of underline things if they're spelled wrong, and you can choose if you want to correct it or not, and that's the check spelling, so you can turn that off as well or leave it on, and you see there's other settings you can disable as well. The next tip is a visual one. So by default, when you bring down your notification center, it's a little bit translucent with blurred background. And the same deal with your control center. It's sort of a little bit translucent. You can see the colors in the background through it. But if you want a solid shade, what you would do is open up the settings application, go to General, and then from here we'll tap on Accessibility. And from Accessibility, we're going to tap on Increase Contrast. Now what we're going to do is tap on Reduce Transparency. Now when we bring up our control center, it's a solid gray. And if we bring down our notification center, it's a solid black. You'll also notice that the dock at the bottom is no longer translucent as well. The next few tips involve Safari. So if we open it up, you'll notice that we're brought to the Amazon mobile site. And a lot of sites now are mobile. But let's say you want to access a feature that's only available on the desktop site. Well, what you do is tap on the URL bar at the top and then just swipe downwards. And you'll see it says Request Desktop Site. If we tap on that, it'll bring me to the Amazon desktop site and you'll be able to access all the desktop features. The next tip is private browsing. So if we tap on the bottom right here where our tabs are and tap on private, it'll bring up a page here. And basically what it does is allow you to browse in private mode, so it won't remember the pages you visit, the search history, or any autofill information. So basically you just tap the plus and it'll bring up a tab, and anything you access through this will be more private than the general. Now to go back, you simply tap that again, and then you tap private and it'll bring you back to the regular ones. The next tip involves turning websites into mobile applications. So let's say I was just on the Apple site and I wanted to turn the Apple site into one of my mobile applications. I would just tap on the share button down here, and then I would go ahead and tap on Add to Home Screen. Now you can see you get a nice logo. Not all of them will give you a logo. It'll give you a name. You can change the name to whatever you want. So I just wanted to say Apple, and then we'll go ahead and tap Add. Now on our home screen, you see we have the Apple logo. Now I did the exact same thing with the desktop Amazon app, and you can see that you don't get the nice logo. So it just depends on which websites you're adding. Another setting that people seem to have a hard time finding is the battery percentage. So you can see up top here, I have the battery logo as well as the percentage. What you need to do to enable this is go into your settings, go to General, and then you want to go to Usage. And there you have it, the battery percentage. And you can swipe to turn it on and off. So if you prefer to track your usage a little bit more, you'd want to turn on the battery percentage. Now in this same area here, tracking your battery usage is always important. So if you tap on battery usage here, you can actually see what applications are burning through your battery more than others. So in the last 24 hours, my messages, home, and lock screen have been burning through my battery usage. So if we check the last 4 days, you can see the home and lock screen, and again, messages are top two, but you can see the differences, and you can sort of modify how you're using things to sort of save a little bit more battery life and battery power on your iPhone. The next few tips are very easy, but also very important at the same time. If you get a lot of telemarketer calls like I do, there is a way to actually block these numbers. So if I go into my phone application here, you can see I have a call here from I don't know where, and I don't know who it is. If I tap on the info button here, you can see that if I scroll all the way down, I can block this caller. So I'm going to go ahead and block the caller. Now with that being said, at the same time, we'll open up our settings application here, scroll down and tap on messages. And from here we can tap on blocked, and you can see all the different numbers as well as iMessage or message emails that have gone through that you've blocked at the same time. So this will give you a little bit more control. Now when you tap on add new, you can only add people from your contact list. So if you want to temporarily block someone who might be annoying you, you can do that as well. Now with that being said, the next tip involves the messaging app again. So let's say you were busy and someone wouldn't stop messaging you. What you could do is tap on details here, and you can tap on do not disturb, and it'll mute notifications from this conversation, and this will work within groups as well as just individuals themselves. Next is the ability to change your iPhone's name. So if we open up settings, go to general, and then the about section, you can see the name is iPhone, and if you tap on that, you can call it whatever you want. And that'll change the name of your iPhone. The next tip involves the iPhone headsets here. So if I open up the camera app here, if I want to take a photo and I have my headphones in, all I have to do is press on the plus button and it'll take a photo. The same deal for video. If you want to take a video, you press the plus button, and then to stop the video, you just press it again and it stops the video. The next tip is to enable LED notifications. So if we go into our settings application, to general, and then to accessibility, if we then scroll down to LED flash for alerts, we can tap and swipe that on, and now anytime we receive a message or anything, it'll flash on the back of our device. The last tip here involves using Siri, and also only works when it is plugged into a charger. So what you want to do is open up your settings application, go to general, and then we'll scroll to Siri. Now in this section here, you'll see it says allow Hey Siri. Now when we enable that, whenever your phone is plugged into a charger and you say, Hey Siri, it'll open up Siri and you can begin using Siri without having to press any buttons. Anyway guys, those are some tips and tricks you can use with your iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. If you have any tips that you would like to suggest, leave them in the comment box down below. If you have any questions, feel free to also ask in the comments below. I respond to every comment that comes my way. And this was just the first of many tips and tricks videos coming for the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. So be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Also, the link to the full iPhone 6 and 6 Plus series is available for you, so you can watch all the videos in the description down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.